Okay, next slide, please. So here we have all California Work and Family Coalition staff. And my name is Angelica Andrade, and my pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm the administrative assistant and Spanish training coordinator here at the coalition. And I can pass it to Jenya.
Hi, everybody. Happy to see everybody here. Jenya Cassidy, Executive Director, California Work and Family Coalition. I'll pass it to Katie.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. My name is Katie Duberg. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the political organizing director at the coalition. We also have an amazing communications manager, Jared, who's not with us today. And I'll pass to Natasha.
Hi everyone, Natasha Castro, pronouns she, her, and I'm the education and outreach organizer with the coalition, and I'll pass it to Jasmine.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. I'm the education and training manager, and I'll go ahead and pass it to Elizabeth.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm one of the interns for the California Work and Family Coalition.
Thank you for everyone presenting themselves. So here we have our coalition members. We wanted to share the list. Many of you might even be on this list. Next slide. So like I said earlier, this training is on Advocacy 101 and also some of the policies we will be advocating for this year. But before we dive into that, we just kind of wanted to cover the basics. So what are paid sick and safe days and paid family and medical leave? So paid sick and safe days can be used when you need a short amount of time away from work for needs like the flu or medical appointments. And this includes safe days, which can be used for reasons related to domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking. And paid family and medical leave can be used when you need a longer amount of time away from work for needs like cancer treatment, recovering from surgery, giving birth, caring for a seriously ill family member, or bonding with the new child. And we are aware that there are barriers to paid leave. One of them being the lack of awareness. Oftentimes it's seen in communities of color, non-birthing parents, and caregivers who don't know their paid leave rights. And we also have administrative barriers, and some examples of those are language access. The application can be difficult to navigate, and access in general. And we also have policy barriers, and we added some examples like wage replacement, inclusive family definitions, and job protection. In this slide, we can see some of the coalition wins. So starting off with 2002, when California paid family leave passed, and then in 2004, California paid family leave was implemented. So people were able to start taking paid family leave. And then in 2013, we passed SB 770, California Paid Family Leave Program expanded to include more family members. And in 2014, AB 1522 passed, which was a California law establishing 3 paid sick and safe days. And then in 2016, AB 908 temporarily increased wage replacement for paid family leave and state disability insurance. That went from 55 to 60% and 70. And then in 2017, we had SB 63, a new Parent Leave Act to extend job protection for bonding to employers of 20 or more employees. And then in 2020, we had SB 1383, which expanded job protection to employers of 5 or more employees and expanded the definition of family. And in that same year, we also extended paid family leave benefits from 6 to 8 weeks. And then in 2021, we had temporary COVID supplemental paid sick leave. In 2022, we had a huge win, SB 951, which permanently increased wage replacement rates to 90% for low-wage workers. But just a disclaimer that the 90% will take effect 2025. It is not in effect just yet. And then we also had SB 114, which was also temporary COVID supplemental paid sick leave. And lastly, AB 1041, which added a designated person to California's job protection law, the California Family Rights Act. Next slide. So now we do have a poll question, and it kind of touches on, well, it does touch on the win we had last year. So we did have a win in 2023. We didn't add it to that timeline yet, but it's part of this poll question. So Katie, can you please launch the question?
So we are actually going to switch to having people answer this in the chat instead of via poll question. But so we'd love for folks to enter into the chat. How many paid sick and safe days do you think California workers have to get by state law? And just if you had to guess a number, which number would you guess? And I'll input that into the
So we're already seeing the correct answer. A lot of you are answering the correct answer. Yes, so I'm seeing a lot of 5s. Okay, next slide, please. So yes, the answer is 5 days. So all California workers working 30 or more days within a year must be given up to a minimum of 40 hours or 5 days of paid sick and safe leave per year, whichever is more, and that is the law. And we were able to increase the amount of paid sick days last year from 3 to 5. So everyone who guessed 5 sick days, you are correct. Next slide, please. So as you can see, we've been able to win really important protections for California workers, but our work is not finished yet. You have the power to advocate for change so that our laws better reflect the needs of your community and our community in general. So yes, and I can pass it to Katie. Next slide, please.
Awesome. Thanks, Angelica. So I'm just going to give a quick overview to how our California state government works and some advocacy fundamentals to keep in mind as we're advocating for new state laws. Next slide, please. All right, so at our California state government, we have 80 assembly members who make up the California State Assembly. We have 40 senators who make up our state senate, and we have the governor. So we are all represented by one assembly member, one state senator, and we're all represented by the governor. And when we're thinking about passing new state laws, these are the people that we need to be talking to and engaging with to pass new state laws. All right, so before a bill can become a new law, right? Let's just talk about what is a bill. So a bill is just an idea for a new law. And every year, thousands of bills are introduced in the state of California every year. And so in order to keep track of all of them, each bill gets a number for identification purposes. So when a bill is introduced by an assembly member, it's known as Assembly Bill or AB, followed by the bill number. So for instance, AB 518 Wicks means Assembly Bill 518, introduced by Assembly Member Wicks. And when a bill is introduced by a senator, it's referred to as Senate Bill or SB, followed by the bill number. So for instance, SB 1090 Durazo means Senate Bill 1090 introduced by Senator Durazo. And these are actual real bills that we are advocating for this year. All right, so this chart shows kind of a snapshot of our state legislative process. And before I get into all of the details, I do just want to say you do not have to memorize every single step in this chart. What I really want you to take away from this is 1, every bill is just an idea, right? It's an idea for a new law. And 2, there's a lot of steps that bills have to go through before they can become law. And at each one of these steps, you can be an advocate to help get the bill to its next step. Because at every single one of these moments in the chart, a bill can move forward, it can be amended or changed, or it actually can stop moving forward. And we use kind of dramatic language to describe this, where we'll say the bill died at one of these steps. Okay, so starting at the beginning, somebody has an idea for a bill, and then the bill is introduced either by a state assembly member or by a state senator. And the next thing that happens after that is it goes to a policy committee. So what a policy committee is it's a committee of legislators who look at a lot of different bills that make changes to the same area of law. And so in order for a bill to get out of that policy committee, a majority of committee members need to vote yes. And so that's, again, an opportunity for the bill to keep moving, for it to change, or for it to stop moving forward. After the policy committee hearing, many bills go to another committee. It could be a second policy committee, or it could be the appropriations committee, which is the financial committee. And that looks at, can the state of California, or what is the cost to the state of California to implement this bill? Sorry, guys, my cat is all over me right now. She loves the legislative process too. So after it goes through policy committee, then and appropriations, often, then it goes to the floor. And that means everybody in the state assembly or state senate gets a chance to vote yes or no on this bill. And if you can see on these images, it says House of Origin. All that means is if the bill starts out in the assembly, it goes through this process in the assembly first, because that's where it started. And then we repeat everything in the second house. So for an assembly bill, it goes through policy committee, any other committees, and then floor action in the assembly. And then it goes through that same process in the Senate, and vice versa for Senate bills. So after all of that, when we get to floor action in the other house, one of two things can happen. The bill can either go straight to the governor, and then the governor gets to decide from there, or it can go back to the original house for another floor vote before it goes to the governor. The reason why that happens sometimes is because there are big amendments or big changes that happen to the bill in the second house. And so the idea is we want the first house to kind of concur with or agree with those changes before it goes to the governor. And then the governor has a lot of power, because after all of this process, the governor can either sign the bill and it will become law, or the governor can veto the bill and it will not become law, and then you have to start all over again. So that is kind of our legislative process in a nutshell. Next slide. So in other words, how a bill becomes a law is more than half of state assembly members have to vote yes, more than half of state senators have to vote yes. The governor will either sign the bill and it will become law, or the governor will veto the bill and it will not become law. And at the end of the day, I think it's really important for all of us to remember this. Each assembly member and state senator represents us. We live in the district. That's what they're elected to do. That's what they signed up for. Their job is to represent us. And so that's why it's really important for us to be in contact with them, for us to let them know what's important to us, to make sure that they're hearing from us as they make these really important decisions about policies that impact all of us living in California. We all have an opportunity to vote for our state representatives during elections. And I think most folks filled this out as part of registration, but if you're not sure who your state assembly member or state senator is, there's a link on this slide and you can look that information up. All right, so now that we've talked about a little bit about the state legislative process, we want to get into the bills that California Work and Family Coalition is supporting this year and how you can make your voice heard. And we are going to start by talking about bills that are top priorities for us this year. So AB 518, authored by Assemblymember Wicks, paid family leave for chosen family, and SB 1090, authored by Senator Durazo, early application for PFL and DI benefits. And now I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Jasmine.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. So before we even jump into the priorities, we're going to first set the stage and talk about what are the current California laws, and then lead into AB 518, which is about caring for a seriously ill family member. Okay, so first, disability insurance and paid family leave are two halves of a whole program. They're both wage replacement programs, and you can see this in the image on the right, that they're funded by the California State Disability Insurance Fund as a whole, which is funded through your paycheck and your employee contributions, which means it's your money. And that means it's your right to use it when needed. But this is specifically for employees who pay into state disability insurance. So employees who pay into the state disability insurance receives partial wage replacement in California when they can't work for the following qualifying reasons. So for state disability insurance, it's for when you're unable to perform your regular work due to physical or mental injuries, illnesses, and other health-related conditions, which can include elective surgery, pregnancy, or childbirth. So in case you're curious, and you can check out Legal Aid at Work's fact page, which we can link here or in the slides later, to find out what is considered as a disability for SDI. On the other hand, for paid family leave, as a parent, you can take it to bond and care for a newborn, adopted, or foster child, or as a caregiver to care for a seriously ill family member. And that family member must be a child, spouse, domestic partner, parent, grandparent, grandchild, parent-in-law, or sibling specifically to you, the person who requests leave. One last situation where you could take paid family leave is if you're part of a military family in specific situations related to military deployment of your child, parent, or spouse. And so that was a lot of information. So in a more visual sense, we can see it here. On the top row in yellow, you can take disability insurance for your own health condition or for a pregnancy-related condition. And in red on the bottom row, for parents to bond and care for a new child, for caregivers to care for an ill family member, for a military exigency for families with family members serving in the military. The bottom row is when you can take paid family leave. So I'm sure you're wondering, and this is a frequently asked question, what is considered a serious health condition? Well, a serious health condition is covered by the Paid Family Leave and California Family Rights Act, or FMLA, and this most commonly includes these types of conditions. If you're required to take an overnight stay in a hospital or other medical care facility, if it's something that debilitates you or a family member, which means you're unable to attend work or school for more than 3 days and require ongoing treatment, which can include doctor's visits or prescription medication or medicine. And last is for chronic conditions that cause periodic incapacitation or fatigue, such as migraines, asthma, etc. Okay, so now that we've classified what a serious health condition is, let's talk about the eligibility requirements for both. So starting with state disability insurance, to recap, you must be unable to do regular or customary work due to your own serious illness or disability, which includes pregnancy. On the right, paid family leave, you can take it if you have a new child or need to care for a seriously ill family member, and you must take it within the first year after birth or placement. And then in the middle for both, you must have been paying into state disability insurance. You must have been working or looking for work when the disability began and have established a base period of past earnings to show that you've suffered a wage loss. And third is you must have earned at least $300 from which the SDI deductions were withheld during the base period. And we also have linked here the EDD calculator where you can input your monthly income to calculate how much you would receive in benefits. So I'm sure you're wondering, where can I find that? Where do I know if I'm contributing to the SDI? Well, check your pay stub or your paycheck. You can see it here it's like listed as California State Disability Insurance, but it may also appear as California SDI. It is important to note that paid family leave and state disability insurance are wage replacement programs only. They do not require your employer to give you your job back when you return from leave, which we'll talk about in this law here about job protection. So separate from state and federal law, so separate state and federal laws from PFL and SDI, your employer is only required to protect your job if you are covered by CFRA and FMLA, which I'll talk about in a second. If you qualify, your employers must maintain your benefits during your leave and guarantee your job or a comparable job when you return from leave. It is against the law to refuse your request or retaliate against you for using or attempting to use leave. And so, like I promised, FMLA is the Family Medical Leave Act, which is the overall national job protection law, which applies to the whole of the United States, whereas CFRA is California Family Rights Act, which applies only to California. And we mainly focus on CFRA because it is a stronger law and more protective for workers. So specifically, the eligibility requirements for CFRA is you need to be on the job for a year. You need to have worked 1,250 hours in the year before, which is about 25 hours a week. And you must work at an employer with 5 or more employees. Thanks, Angelica. Yes, if you have any questions, please send them in the chat. I know this is a lot of information and we'll try to cover them as they come up or as they're related to the section. We're going to go into another poll question. Katie, if you could help me out.
Yes, so we are going to do this in a chat and I'm going to post right now. So
I'll go ahead and read it. Right now, you can receive paid family leave benefits to care for a designated person, which is someone who is a member of your chosen or extended family. Do you think that's true? Yes. Or do you think that's false? No. So go ahead and send that in the chat. What do you think? Can you receive paid family leave as a designated person? Yes? No? Some guesses of no from Jessica and Courtney and Michelle. Some guesses of yes by Anne, Adriana, Tara. Menica says not yet. Let's get a couple more. What do we think? All right. Thank you all for participating. Well, as Menica and Jewel have said, we don't have it yet. We don't have paid family leave benefits for a designated person yet. And this is exactly why we're advocating for AB 518, this bill. It's confusing because we have job protection for it, but we don't have paid family leave for it, and you can't receive paid benefits. Did I miss anything, Katie? Okay, cool. All right, moving on. So as of last year in January, California workers are eligible for CFRA, or California workers eligible for CFRA can take up to 12 weeks of job protected unpaid leave to care for a seriously ill designated person in addition to family members, which is a huge step forward in expanding the definition of family and protecting workers when they need to care for their loved ones. However, to take leave, California workers need both to have their jobs protected and be able to receive paid family leave benefits because many workers can't afford to take unpaid leave. All right. Thank you for sticking with me in this whole recap of current California laws. We're now oriented and up to date. And let's go ahead and jump into AB 518, which is paid family leave for chosen family. So to quickly recap again, California's paid family leave program allows California workers to receive partial pay only when caring for a seriously ill family member listed below. Oh, my throat's drying up. So you can read it, these family members. But California workers cannot receive paid family leave when they need to care for a member of their chosen or extended family who is not one of the family members listed on the left. Think about it. Who's someone you would consider family who isn't one of these people listed on the left? Feel free to share it in the chat. Designated is for your chosen and extended family, if that answers your question, Juan. Yes, cousin. Thank you, Jessica. Sibling, exactly. Aunt, uncle, cousin, nephew, niece, yeah.
What about daughter-in-law or son-in-law? Is
Yeah,
that-
exactly. Daughter or
Okay.
son-in-law, that it's not listed there, so that would be someone who would be our designated person. Exactly.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Yeah, and so it's so important that we update paid family leave's definition of family to reflect how different families can look outside of just a nuclear family. We all have extended family. And so that gets us into AB 518, which is written by Assemblymember Wicks. And this would expand and build upon the current PFL law, allowing Californians to use their paid family leave to care for not only those listed family members, but also a designated person who is a member of a worker's chosen and extended family, which could be your best friend, your unmarried partner, uncle, niece, cousin, and many other family members that we listed in the chat. Okay. So let's continue to make this even more concrete. Let's look at the changes that AB 518 will have in practice by looking at an example. So let's say Ashley is our friend and she's caring for her niece who has a serious health condition. She qualifies for job protected leave for up to 12 weeks, which we can see in this yellow bar, which is the California Family Rights Act. And this means that she also gets job protection. But she applied for paid family leave and was denied benefits indicated by this green bar because her relationship didn't qualify for her benefits. This means she doesn't get wage replacement under the current law. But how would our friend Ashley's situation be different if AB 518 were passed and became law? Well, with AB 518 in effect, once again, she would get job protection through the California Rights Act, but also she would be able to receive benefits because her niece would count as a designated person from her chosen or extended family. And she would be able to get paid family leave for caregiving here, and she would get her wage replacement, both job protection and wage replacement. All right, so third poll question, Katie, if you can help me again.
Yes, I think we're going to try to launch this one. So Natasha, are you able to launch poll question?
Yeah, I just launched it. I just want to make sure folks can see it. and
Thanks,
answer the
Natasha.
question. No problem.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting some answers in.
Could you read the question out again too, just to remind me?
Oh yeah, when can California workers apply for paid family leave and state disability insurance benefits? And then the answers are up to 30 days before their anticipated leave due to their own or a family member's health condition or to bond with a new child. Once they are on unpaid leave from work due to their own or a family member's health condition or to bond with a new child. So we're at 53, 62%, 68%.
Yes, thanks
75%.
everyone for participating.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll. And then I can share the results. Can you see the results?
I can't, but
Okay. So 46% answered up to 30 days before anticipated leave, and then 54% answered once they are unpaid leave from work.
nice. I will go ahead and hand it off to Angelica. She'll be talking about SB 1090.
Yes, thank you, Jasmine. And just quickly refresher, Natasha, you said 54% answered it's once they are on leave or about to start?
No, 54% answered that up to 30 days before, and then oh no, that's 46, sorry, yeah, and 54 once they are on leave, yeah.
So mostly everyone answered correct. So you can actually apply until you are already on leave without pay. But we'll talk more about it here. So, thank you, Natasha. SB 1090 is authored by Senator Durazo, and it is a bill focused on early application for paid family leave and disability insurance benefits. So currently, California workers must wait until they are already on unpaid leave from work to bond with the new baby or to take time off for their own or a family member's serious health condition before they can begin the process of applying for paid family leave or state disability insurance benefits. So SB 1090 would allow California workers to apply for paid family leave and state disability benefits for up to 30 days before they are on leave. And as a result, workers will be able to get confirmation of their eligibility and benefit amount before starting their leave and receive benefits sooner. And also we're going to transition into bills we are strongly supporting this year. Starting off with AB 2123, which is authored by Assemblymember Papan, and it will allow workers to use paid family leave without having to use vacation time first. And the second one is AB 2499 by Assemblymember Schiavo, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, which is strengthening safe leave. And then the third one is AB 2901, which is authored by Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry, and it is focused on pregnancy leave for educators. And the last one is SB 1434, authored by Senator Durazo, which focuses on unemployment insurance benefits and contribution changes. So AB 2123, authored by Assemblymember Papan, improving access to paid family leave. Currently, employers are allowed to require employees to use up to 2 weeks of vacation time before receiving paid family leave. So what this bill would do would remove that provision of the law so that employees can access the paid family leave benefits they pay for when they need them. Next slide. So now we're gonna move on to another poll question, and I'll also pass it to Katie, who will be speaking on this section.
Thanks, Angelica. Natasha, can we try poll question 4?
Yeah, I just share the poll question, and the question is, can you use paid sick and safe days to seek care or services related to domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking for yourself or to support a family member who is a survivor? True, false, not sure are the answers. And we're at 54% participation, 63, 72, 81. Okay, do you think I should share the results now? We're at 86%. Okay. And poll, share results. So 53% of people answered true, 26% answered false, and then 21% answered not sure.
Thanks, Natasha. So this was a little bit of a trick question, as you'll see in the next slide, because you can use your paid sick and safe days if you yourself are a survivor of domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking, but you can't actually use them to support a family member who's a survivor of sexual assault, domestic violence, or stalking yet, which is what this next bill is trying to change. So just for a quick reminder on what paid sick and safe days are, paid sick and safe days, as Angelica mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, can be used for your own illness or to care for a family member, including the diagnosis, care, and treatment of an existing health condition or preventative care like annual checkups. So this means that you can use them for like annual physicals, for vaccine appointments, and also to receive care or treatment related to an existing medical condition. But as it says here, they can also be used to seek care or services if you have experienced sexual assault, domestic violence, or stalking. So next slide. So what AB 2499, authored by Assemblymember Schiavo, proposes to do is to strengthen safe leave protections for both survivors of domestic violence, but also survivors of other violent crimes. So it would allow California workers to use their paid sick and safe days and take unpaid leave from work to support a family member who is a survivor of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, or other violent crimes, and specific activities to help the survivor recover and secure their safety. So a lot of times this is things like legal services that people are seeking. It could also be if people need to make accessibility accommodations to their home or vehicle. And so what this is really doing is making sure that both survivors have these protections, but also that people can use them to support a family member who is a survivor. And then the bill would also just strengthen current anti-discrimination leave and accommodations for survivors of domestic violence and violent crimes. And it would simplify the administrative process for survivors and family members who seek to enforce their rights. So a lot of times, we don't think about enforcement and making sure enforcement's working for laws, but it's really important that we not only pass laws, but that enforcement makes sense and is working. And so this bill would also strengthen enforcement for existing protections for survivors. Next slide. And then we are also supporting AB 2901, which is authored by Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry, which would create pregnancy leave for educators. So right now, school employees can't earn paid pregnancy leave. And when school employees get pregnant, they have to exhaust their sick leave before they can access partial pay, which is basically the amount that's left over after their substitute has been paid. So what this bill would do is it would address that by granting school employees up to 14 weeks of leave with full pay that would be paid for by the employer when an employee is experiencing or has experienced pregnancy, miscarriage, childbirth, termination of pregnancy, or recovery from those conditions. And what we've been learning from folks working on this issue is that this doesn't just affect school employees when they are experiencing pregnancy kind of in the immediate. It can also impact people throughout their careers and when they are getting ready to retire, because when school employees retire, they can convert unused sick leave into service credit for retirement benefits. And so the California Teachers Association has found that women are disproportionately likely to have less paid sick leave to convert to service credit. So it can affect their retirement earnings too. All right, next slide. And then the last bill we want to highlight for you all that we're supporting this year is SB 1434, authored by Senator Durazo, which would make some really important changes to our unemployment insurance program. So it would modernize our unemployment insurance program by increasing the unemployment insurance weekly benefit amount to a minimum of $170 and a maximum of $700 a week. Currently, the maximum weekly benefit amount that you can get from unemployment insurance is $450 a week, and that amount has not been increased since 2005. And unemployment insurance is a really important social safety net program, as I think a lot of folks on this call know, that makes sure that people can still meet their basic needs like rent, food, medicine when they're unemployed through no fault of their own. And the other thing this bill does is it would increase the taxable wage base to make sure that the unemployment insurance fund is solvent and stable as our economy grows. A lot of these issues link back to the fact that we just need employers to kick in a little bit more to our unemployment insurance program. Currently, California employers are only contributing to the fund on the first $7,000 that workers earn in California. And that amount that they contribute hasn't been raised since 1982. And then the third thing that this bill would do, it would begin to accrue the revenue needed to implement a parallel unemployment insurance program for workers who are currently excluded from receiving unemployment insurance benefits because of federal barriers to the program. We know there's been a lot of important advocacy on this issue in California over the last several years. And then the last thing that we wanted to highlight is that it also protects the disability insurance fund from future borrowing. So what does that mean? So if you hearken back to Jasmine's presentation about paid family leave and SDI, those programs are funded by the Disability Insurance Fund, which we all contribute to as California workers so that we can have access to state disability insurance and paid family leave when we need it. The Unemployment Insurance Fund, in contrast, is funded 100% by employers. However, because the fund is not solvent, in economic downturns, we've actually had to borrow money from the federal government to make sure that we can keep paying out benefits. And so the state of California took out a $20 billion loan during the pandemic to make sure that unemployment benefits could still be paid. And we owe that money and also interest on the loan. And last year, the state borrowed $306 million from the Disability Insurance Fund, which is worker funded, to pay the interest payment on the unemployment insurance loan. So this is something we're concerned about. We want to make sure the Disability Insurance Fund is protected going forward. And this slide actually links to a letter that we wrote with partners and worked on to make sure that our concerns about this were expressed to our lawmakers. So I know I just ran through a ton of information about many bills with Angelica. Anyone have questions about any of these before we move to our final section of the training? All right, I think we can move forward. All right, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Elizabeth, who's going to talk about how you can be an advocate.
Hello, everyone. So this section, we are going to talk about how you can be an advocate for change. And I think this is really important because a lot of times we feel maybe small or like our voices don't matter, but your presence and your voice and just being present really matters. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this section. So have you ever contacted your elected officials regarding a community issue, or do you know how to contact your state legislators? I think it's supposed to be a poll question, but if not, feel free to answer in the chat.
Edie, is this supposed to be a poll question? Is this poll question number 5 or not? That way I can launch it.
It is. It should be a poll question.
Thanks. Sorry, I just questioned myself. Yes, please look.
Okay. Okay, so it's, have you ever contacted your elected officials regarding a community issue? Yes or no? Not sure how to do that. Okay, we're at 55% participation. 60. I'm hoping we get to 80. We're at 70. 75. Okay, great. 85. So I'm gonna end 95. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm gonna end the okay, and 58% of folks answered yes, 42 answered no.
Well, thank you guys so much for participating. If you answered yes, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you do that. And if you answered no, we're going to talk about how to do it and how you can get involved. So if you have less than 1 minute in your day, you can always sign up for the California Work and Family Coalition. You can scan the barcodes with your phones or any electronics you may have on hand. We send you the emails that allow you to take action in support of bills to improve paid leave in less than 1 minute. The link is also in the chat if you guys would like to sign up for it. Thanks. If you have 2 to 5 minutes, you can call your legislator or email your legislator. If you call your legislator, you can use an action alert, and the action alert will typically connect you to a direct lawmaker and will provide you with the script. You can also look up your legislator's phone number and call their office directly. Now, if you have time to email them, you can write your own email to your legislator using their contact form on their website. And if you have more than 5 minutes, you can sign up for Advocacy Day. You'll meet with the state legislators and their staff to share why these issues matter to you. We meet with legislators and groups to support each other. Look at how much you guys can do in only 5 minutes. That's a lot, actually. We can go to the next slide. So let's talk about why it's important to meet with your legislators. Living in an assembly or Senate district makes you a constituent of that district. It's crucial to engage with your senators and state assembly members, because at the end of the day, these are people you're voting for, so your voice really, really matters. Your participation ensures that they hear from you before making decisions on important bills. What to expect when meeting with legislators. It might seem a little intimidating to meet with someone you don't know. I don't think anyone wants to meet with a stranger, but remember, this is your opportunity to voice opinions on things that matter to you. So typically the meetings with legislators or their staff last between 15 to 30 minutes. Meeting with staff can be just as important as meeting with the legislators, because the staff person's job is to brief the legislator on what's going on and what the community members want and what the different organizations are saying. So what you tell them will inform what they tell the assembly member or the senator. It's normal to be nervous. We'll meet beforehand to collaborate and answer any questions you may have. Remember, we're here to support each other. We're like a community. That's very important. You're the advocate. So this is how to participate in legislative meetings. There are different roles in the legislative meetings, and here are the 3 different ones. There's a group leader, which means you would facilitate the meeting. There are speaking roles, and in the speaking roles, you would briefly explain what the bill does and why it's important to you. You will address tough questions, and you'll ask the legislator if they will support the bill. Lastly, there's a note taker. You can take notes on key points, questions, and any follow-up that may be needed. Your presence matters, and every role in this is really important. Even if you don't feel comfortable having a specific role in the meeting, such as note taker or speaker or facilitator, always make sure to introduce yourself. Thank you. I will pass this on to Angelica.
Sorry, no, this Katie's section.
Sorry.
All good. So this is the start of our advocacy trainings. So this is the 101, and we're gonna have some more upcoming trainings, and also our Advocacy Day registration, which is going live right now. So if you can pass to the next slide. All right, so we are having another English language advocacy training on April 25th. This is gonna be really preparing and practicing what you might say when meeting with the legislator. It's going to be really practical and kind of focused on preparing people for Advocacy Day. And then Advocacy Day itself will be May 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be virtual, so people will be able to participate from all over the state. And thank you, Angelica, for dropping the links in the chat. And we are also going to have Spanish language interpreters at Advocacy Day. So we're having Spanish language trainings as well leading up to the day. So we're going to do this training, but in Spanish on April 11th. And then we'll do the participatory training on April 25th. And then similarly, people can register for Advocacy Day who are Spanish speaking as well. So any questions?
I did have one, I guess, about the Durazo bill for increasing the unemployment. Has there been a discussion of just indexing it to inflation so we avoid this issue in the future?
I believe so, Marvin. We'll share the fact sheet about that bill, and actually all the bills that we talked about today as a follow-up to the training, and you can see more information there about what's proposed in that bill. Great question.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and then I saw Michelle in the chat was asking for fact sheets as well.
Yes, so we will send out bill fact sheets with all the training materials after this training. And Angelica's posting links to bill language in the chat as we speak. So that's another good place to go to. It's nice to have both the language and the fact sheet.
Any other questions?
All right, so if there's no other questions right now, we will move on to announcements and resources that we wanted to share with all of you. Next slide, please. So one announcement that we have that we're very excited about is that paid family leave and state disability insurance benefits will increase in 2025. This is because of Senate Bill 951 that I know many folks in this training participated in and helped to make happen through your advocacy. So when this bill is fully implemented, starting January of next year, low-income workers in California will start to get 90% of their regular wages from state disability insurance and paid family leave. And this is really important too, low-income workers will be defined as anyone who's making 70% or less than the state average weekly wage, which is equivalent to about $60,000 a year in 2024. So this is a really big change, and we know that many more workers will actually be able to afford to take paid family leave and state disability insurance next year once this law goes into effect. And then other workers, meaning higher income workers, will start to get 70% of their regular wages up to a cap as well. So very excited about that. Next slide, please. So we also have a resource hub. This is a really great place to go to just learn about current laws and protections, and it's organized by topic and really by the reason why you might need leave. So if you're pregnant, here's a bunch of resources for you. If you need paid sick and safe days, here's resources for you. If you're caring for a seriously ill family member, here's what you need to know. And again, the link to this is in the slides, and we will share that with you all after the training as well. Even more information is available at paidfamilyleave.org in English, Spanish, and Chinese. So it's another great place to learn more about your leave rights. Next slide. And then additionally, these are some great just go-to resources as well. There's a couple of blog posts that we have in both English and Spanish with basic information about paid family leave and state disability insurance. Resources from Legal Aid at Work about rights for parents, and then resources from the EDD because they have some great tutorials to answer a lot of questions about just the application process. Next slide. All right, so final pitch, please do advocate with us. We'd love for you to join us. We really all need our elected officials to be hearing from all of us on these issues. Everything that you all shared about why these bills are so important, that's what we need to tell them so that they know that we want them to support these bills. So the easiest way to take action is to sign up for our newsletter list, but please always feel free to reach out to me. There's lots more that opportunities that you can get involved with, and I'm always happy to chat with anyone about that. Next slide. All right, I think that's it. So thank you all so much for joining us today, for your time. And we will send out resources, the registration for Advocacy Day, and everything to you after the training. So have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.